Hello? Hey everyone, I'm a little bit excited. I've been waiting for this for about 8 years. Since I stepped foot in this store as an employee, I have been hounding my good friends at Roland Australia to get back to Roland Japan and Boss to reissue the mighty HM2. And what have they done? They've finally done it. And they've done the Wazza version, which is incredible. I'm so excited for this and I can't wait to show you. This is so good. I love it. Then the feedback. So the pedal itself is, a lot of you are going to know what it sounds like, where it came from, that sort of Swedish chainsaw death metal thing. My relationship with the pedal probably started back in the early to mid 90s as an impressionable youth. I had a copy of the compilation Gods of Grind, the earache Gods of Grind, and it had Carcass and all sorts of stuff on it. But the one that really blew my hair back then was Entombed, and they were like what would you say? They were like the odd one out on the album, if you like. They had this really peculiar sound, and then bands that followed, bands like Unleashed and Dismember and even At the Gates, used the HM2 throughout the 90s as well and continue to use them. So the pedal itself has been around it was in the 80s it was released originally, and it didn't really come out to much fanfare. It wasn't until Entombed released Left Hand Path that people really got to hear that classic Swedish chainsaw death metal sound. Other players like David Gilmour are known to, they used it, like he used it apparently. I'm not too sure how much he used it or how he used it, because it's a very particular sound, what it does. So I'd be curious if anyone knows what Pink Floyd track or David Gilmour track he used it on. I'd love to hear it. Fast forward to the 2000s, the noughties, and bands, the pedal started to gain a little bit more of a cult following. Bands like Nails, probably as much as I'm not a fan of the band, they were, I guess, flying the flag of that kind of modern hardcore, death metal inspired hardcore. That power violence, I guess, is another term that they use. You start getting bogged down in genres in music and subgenres, it gets very, very awful, and everyone will pick me on this, but whatever. There's other bands like Lick as well, and Bloodbath, who, oh my God, go and listen to the tone on Nightmares Made Flesh by Bloodbath. That is just gargantuan guitar sound, and the HM2 was a big part of that as well. So it started to gain a little bit more of a following, the pedal, and it spawned a bunch of clones. There's so many different clones of this pedal. It is crazy, and that's probably why I started to sort of poke the team at Roland Australia to get back to Japan to say, hey, this pedal's got a bit of momentum, perhaps you should look at reissuing it. I'm not saying I'm responsible for it. I've been really, really pushing hard for this pedal with the avenues that I have here in Australia. fast forward to 2015, and I play in a death grind band called Wretch, and we headed up to Brisbane to record an album with my good friend Adam Merker at Studio Andes de Beers in Brisbane, and we recorded our original tracks with just, you know, rectifiers and 5150s. But the second track, so we quad tracked everything, and the second tracks were actually recorded with those amplifiers and an HM2. And that's where I guess my love of the pedal really sort of took off, was, you know, actually having it on an album that I've played on. It was a really, really cool thing. All right, so I'm gonna give you a couple of playing examples in standard and custom mode to show you the differences. So I've got the Vance S1 Clubber with an EMG 57 in it, going straight into the Fry at Deliverance 60. We're going into a Wazza tube amp expander direct into our DAW as well, just for consistency in the recording. Now you'll notice in the HM2W, I haven't dimed everything. Now, the reason I've done that is I actually wanted to rein it in a little bit. The amp is quite bottom heavy, the cab is quite bottom heavy, so with all of that the bloom in the bottom end, it'll actually be a little bit hard to mix and things. So I've taken it out. I actually think it sounds pretty cool like this. So standard mode. So that sounds pretty cool. Go to, whoop. What's it with me knocking pedals over in videos? The orange, whoop. Forward for boss, me and shapes, we just got found out on camera. Custom mode. All right, you hear the noise sort of peaks a little bit. So this is more distortion, more bottom end, more of everything. So I'll play the exact same thing. This sounds so cool. So big difference, bottom end, more bloom in the bottom end, more gain, more of everything. Very, very cool. So as you can see on top of the amplifier here, we've got three different versions of the pedal. We've got the Japanese version, we've got the Taiwanese version, and we've got the new Wazacraft version. So the original Japanese version, early 80s, right through until I believe it was late 80s, it was made in Japan. Then they shifted to Taiwan for production. People will say there are differences. Look, I think the differences are subtle, but you know, it might be a component thing, like a component tolerance or something like that. Some will say that there's no difference, some will say there is a difference. Fast forward to 2021 and we've got the HM2W, which it bears the classic Wazacraft logo on the pedal itself, which is great. But what it's got is, it's true to the original, but with a slightly lower noise floor, so it's not as noisy, not as harsh sounding when you're not playing the pedal. It's also got your two modes, your standard mode and your custom mode. The custom mode adds more gain, so more distortion, it's a tighter bottom end as well. It's a great sound. So whether you dime the thing, which is the classic Swedish death metal sound, or you actually kind of rein it in a little bit, the pedal will work for you in whatever way you want it to, whether it's to push the amp or be your main tone. So there you have it, a brief look at the HM2W and what I love about it. Look, I'm so excited that this pedal is out now. As I said, I've been pushing for this for a long, long time. I've been hoping that they would reissue this pedal because the original Japanese ones, and not so much the Taiwanese ones, but more the Japanese ones, they fetch some really, really silly money online, and people buy them because they only made so many of them. It's like anything. So the fact that they've built this pedal with the modern player in mind, lower noise floor, more gain, but still true to the original, is a really, really great thing, and I'm really, really excited to have it in the store. All right, I just want to thank my really good friends at Roland Australia and at Roland and Boss Japan for sending this pedal to me to have a look at. I'm so pumped for this pedal. Thank you so much. Get your back orders in. If you have any questions about it, you can hit me up at sales@bettermusic.com.au. Come and see me in store, give me a call, get on our live chat. We've got a bunch of different ways to get in touch with us. Also, make sure to hit like and subscribe on the YouTube channel to make sure you get notifications when we release new videos. Thanks for tuning in, and rock on.